didn't seem too concerned. He seemed pretty happy.
Don't have anything on the agenda tonight.
It's true.
You just need to bring down or get a couple extra of those training tables that we got in that room upstairs. So you got a
Oh, yeah.
flat surface you could flip up in front of the judge.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, the emo master has arrived.
Day before the annual dinner too, right?
So I'll call Chris in the morning then.
Mhm. Do you have his number?
I can give it to her.
Okay, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, yeah.
Should I bring my laptop in?
I would just call him and see. He was on top of it. He was in my office in 5 minutes and said, hey, no, you're good. So he might be able to just remote into it.
Okay.
That's where. Luckily, when I open things like that, it doesn't.
Need a pen?
There we go.
Yeah.
It was in the fun.
Fewer and fewer of them. Each week.
I know. They
They seem to be growing legs.
migrate.
I like that, migrate. Migrate people's legs.
Yeah. I'm a notorious pin migrator.
So I have this, most recent, like 360. Do you guys have that?
I love these.
Yeah. So, so my oldest kid, he's.
One of our puzzle says that.
Oh, yeah, that's very soon.
Permission. I saw like I get all the time stuff for me, which is pretty fun. I didn't know it was this far away. In case you see where he's at. And so I thought, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yes, sir.
Like, he was
No,
thinking
he's,
of-
I'll talk to you afterwards. He's unavailable tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
in a
Perfect.
wedding
Thank you,
over
Joe.
there. So went to this college.
Because we're live, I didn't want to. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Okay. It is 7 o'clock. I would like to call the March 5th DeSoto City Council meeting to order. Start with roll call, please.
Lane? Here. Patterson?
Here.
Sabo?
Here.
Bradley?
Here.
All are present.
All right. I would invite you all to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item tonight is our consent agenda. Tonight on the consent agenda, we have approved minutes from the February 19th City Council meeting. Item B, approved pay ordinance number 1014. Item C, approved special meeting request for April 15th, 2026. And item D, approve easements and right-of-way for Arbor Ridge Fourth Plat. Is there any item anyone would wish to move for further discussion?
No, but I have a question. Do you vote, so I can't remember, you only vote on item 4 under the consent agenda, right?
I will vote on item D, right?
So do we vote separate? Usually just make one vote for,
We'll go, yeah, and then he'll call me on item 4D,
sorry, I couldn't remember.
or I'll just say yes to item 4D. Brandon's got it. Anything else? Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lane?
Yes.
Patterson?
Yes.
Sabo?
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Mayor Walker on item 1D.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Item 2 is call to public. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to comment about any matter relating to city business not listed on tonight's agenda. The comments that are discussed under call to public may or may not be acted on by the council during the meeting. There's a 4-minute time limit. Does anyone wish to address the council under call to public? Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Ron Crow Jr., 33635 Hillcrest. I am here to announce to the council and to the council that I am going to suspend anonymous posting for in and around DeSoto due to a post someone posted about a young guy driving a black Mustang that was driving erratic around town. And this person was attacked by an anonymous poster. And so that was there's a bunch of things that's been posted anonymously on there that was kind of out of line and stuff. So, so I'm just suspending it for a little bit, probably 6 months or so, to see if we can get a little bit more civility in the group. So I just wanted to announce that to you guys, and I will suspend it tomorrow.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to announce that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Anyone else?
Good evening, Council. Rob Daniels, 30875 West A 7th Street, DeSoto. Tonight's published agenda includes a discussion item of filling the council vacancy. I'm here to express my interest in filling that position as I have let the mayor know. 4 months ago, our residents voted and expressed their confidence in various candidates. I received more than 49% of the vote, nearly half of the community's support. That election also revealed how our small town is changing, particularly in campaign financing. We saw significant donor money from union PACs and large developers. I'm proud to say that I accepted no money from PACs. Instead, 49% of my contributions came from DeSoto residents directly, 21% from DeSoto businesses local here in DeSoto. I say that to say that you have the potential to have a replacement that the residents are strongly invested in with their vote and finances. With 2 council members leaving within 10 months and 2 new members just elected, continuity matters. For 8 years, I've demonstrated that I'm an effective member of the city council, serving and representing all residents, not just those who agree with me. I've taken every opportunity, comfortable and not, to serve our community, sitting down with residents impacted by growth, building relationships with local businesses, and working with developers whom I've often brought together with the residents when others couldn't. I've made my clear intention to run for council next year, but during this period of significant growth and council turnover, having someone well-versed in the issues and opportunities facing DeSoto, someone with the support and trust of many residents, makes sense for this temporary appointment. Every one of you ran on transparency and trust. I've led the way in bringing transparency and information to our residents, and I'll continue doing so. Mayor ran on listening. I ran on making sure every voice is heard. In this appointment, the voices that spoke just 4 months ago, I believe they need to be listened to as far as whom they trusted. The last election was contentious. I won't deny that. I know I'm among the last that mayor would want to currently appoint. But if he's willing, I believe we can move past the campaign, work together for our community's betterment, bringing together the varying sides that voiced equal support for each of us. There's no reason we cannot work together and use my experience and ability to represent our residents to fill this vacancy with someone trusted and experienced. As George Hoff of Stone Pillar Winery, one of Mayor's own supporters, recently commented on January 25th, it seems fitting that if Rob Daniels were willing to accept an appointment, he would be a sensible replacement for the seat. I'm willing. I look forward to seeing a full discussion tonight and hope the voices of just 4 months ago are not discarded so quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. We do not have any old business, so we'll go to item 4A, consider task order with HDR Inc. related to supplement number 1 to the development agreement with Mount Sunflower Properties LLC.
Mayor, I believe we have representation from HDR. Mike's not here today, but probably I didn't know if you wanted to speak on this item.
I certainly could.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm Charlie Siebert with HDR Engineering. Normally Mike or Joe handle this, so this series of projects does relate to the data center project. It's related to the water infrastructure. This first round of projects is preliminary engineering on the linear assets, the pipelines. So that includes pipelines from the well field, both the north side of the river wells coming across the Kansas River and all the way up to the treatment plant. It also includes a new transmission line for the treated water leaving the plant and serving the data center. So this is just the preliminary engineering phase. Assuming that everything moves forward, we would then go into design and ultimately into construction. So this is just that first phase of projects.
And I think the key element is the funding comes from the developer, not from the city at large. So engineering to serve their project paid for by them. Questions for Charlie or staff?
I have a question. In looking through it, I see the industrial treatment facility, infrastructure, and you said this is for basically the horizontal infrastructure for this project. This phase is.
This phase is, I believe there's potentially a contract for another consultant to look at the industrial wastewater treatment plant. And I would let them speak to that, but this is specific to the water infrastructure. So that's the raw water pipeline and the treated water pipeline.
So I had an opportunity to visit with our wastewater treatment plant folks a week or two ago. And one of the things they mentioned was that there may be an opportunity to, at some point, redirect the treated water from the wastewater plant back into the raw water to that plant. Is that in any way included in potential design? Is this design, I guess I'm asking?
This is preliminary design for the pipeline, so we have not specifically looked at that. It is something in the state of Kansas that's actually being looked at. There's a few other cities that are a little bit more strapped for water. And so repurposing the treated water, because many of you are very familiar with wastewater treatment plants, and what they discharge in many instances is very close to drinking water quality. The thought of it is a little bit less than appealing to some folks, but at the end of the day, your wastewater treatment plant discharges to the Kansas River. It goes a few miles downstream. Olathe is pulling water out of there. Water One is pulling water out of there. That's the way the system works. And there's cities upstream of DeSoto that are discharging. So that isn't something that we have been specifically asked to look at this point. But my guess is that may be something in the future that we would want to look at.
Thank you. And that was really my concern. If we can redirect that wastewater, it seems like that's that many less gallons we have to pull from the river because we already have it.
Absolutely.
And I know.
Energy, it's already up on top of the hill. We don't
Right.
have to pull it out of the ground.
Right. So that's all. I was just asking if that was something that could be considered.
Oh, absolutely.
Design.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, or are we ready for a motion? We have a suggested motion on page 2 of the staff report.
I move to authorize the city administrator to sign task order number 11 with HDR as presented, and authorize that the term of the 2022 HDR agreement for professional on-call services be extended to include task order number 11.
Second?
Question on that. Does this include the task order number 8 that we received the email from Mike, or does that need to be a separate motion?
Yeah, I think we should do that one separate.
Second the motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion of the motion? Beyond. Roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Let me look for that email and we'll just take that up now.
I believe it's the other item 4A.
Ah, thank you. There it is.
It's just a approval for an amendment to task order 8 with HDR.
So I would make a motion that we approve the amendment to task order 8 with HDR as displayed in item 4A in the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Item B, consider ordinance 2673 approving text amendment to zoning regulation for allowable uses in M1 district.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. The suggestion was made for Planning Commission, actually, Mike Brungart brought this up, is that because of a lot of interest in auto manufacturing, it's recently been presented to city staff that we took a look at our zoning code. We don't allow auto manufacturing in the M1 zoning district. So brought it up as a discussion item with Planning Commission, and then held a public hearing on this item. And the Planning Commission, after some discussion, you do have the minutes for that, or that excerpt for the discussion. The Planning Commission felt like motor vehicle manufacturing would be a good fit in the M1 zoning district. And we also did include it in the M2 because it's a heavy district, so it works the same way. But the differences between M1 are more cleaner production. And based on some of the limited research I was able to complete on auto manufacturing these days, it's not what was done in the 60s and 70s with smokestacks and all that kind of approach. It's really done by a lot of robotics, and a lot of the employees auto workers are managing the robots that do the welding and the putting together the components. So felt like it was a pretty good compromise to bring this into play. And I was talking to the mayor earlier today. Soto is now a national spot for companies that are looking to do large acreage tracts. I mean, there's not many places in an urban area that have 400, 500, 600 acres that it's available with utilities, road network, access to interstate highways. And actually it's really a worldwide place because Panasonic is an international company. So we're getting a lot of attention from this type of potential use. And so we felt that it was appropriate to bring in the Planning Commission, have a discussion about the 3 items, really: motor vehicle manufacturing, motor vehicle body and trailer manufacturing, then also vehicle parts manufacturing. They're very uses that are significantly tied together. So we felt it was appropriate to allow all 3. One of the items that came up during Planning Commission was, well, why don't we just put it in the M2 district? And because at one point it was allowed by special use permit in the M1. And we'll say, well, why don't you just rezone to M2? The problem when you do something like that, and rezone to an M2, is all those uses that you can see on the right for the M2 are potential uses. And we've had, unfortunately, a few times in DeSoto in my tenure where we've rezoned something, somebody had intentions for doing this type of use, they've rezoned property, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they pulled out. And so then that rezoning happened, and so all those uses came into play. And there's been a few times things have gone into places we weren't particularly that wasn't the plan or the intent when we rezoned the property. So I felt after discussing with the planning commission, it was best to put just these three categories in the M1 district. And really that's where the folks at Astra Development want to be. They're not looking for heavy manufacturing, aluminum galvanizing and used to be ballistic missile manufacturing. We had even people talk about dog food manufacturing, things like that we don't want out there, and neither do they. So through the discussion of planning commission and input from myself and Mike, some of the research we've done, I felt it was best just to allow this M1 use for auto manufacturing in the M1 zoning district. And so with that, I will stand for any questions you may have.
All right, questions?
Sorry, can I just clarify? So the change allows us by right in both M1 and M2 districts?
That is correct, Patrick.
Okay, thanks.
Similar to what I was going to ask was in the attachment, there's a whole list of stuff and there's S's and P's.
Oh, yeah, pardon me. Yeah, the S is a special use permit. So that requires a separate special public hearing if you want to do that use. And so some of them are S's and some of them are P's. But the other thing that we found out during this discussion about, some of these manufacturers is because they're big and they're always under scrutiny from the public, that if you require a special use permit, that's another potential way to shoot them down and say no, because it's a whole separate process. And Astra's been a good partner to work with. They've really been focusing on clean and job creating companies. And we felt that this was a good opportunity to really show that DeSoto has an interest in not just, and we did make this change also when Panasonic came. We added battery manufacturing 3 years ago when this was a fairly strong capability. And once again, there's been just chatter about the auto manufacturing, but it felt like it was a good fit based on the information that we've received from the representatives at Astra, that we should consider this, or council should consider including the M1 and the M2 auto manufacturing.
I have another question. So for M1 and M2, are there any other areas aside from Astra and maybe Flint that are zoned M1 or M2 within the city?
We do have some M1 areas around, but nothing, all right, for the area, Hutamaki, Rarick, Pacific, that's all M1 right through there.
Thank you.
I think you captured it pretty well that, there's an evolution in manufacturing from the heavier uses and to allow, or to rezone that to allow it under the previous code for that heavy industry probably isn't where we want to go because of the other uses that it would allow. So I think in recognition of the more automated wholly contained production process that we're looking for, that fits better within an M1 district. And what we're hoping to see out at Astra.
Just want to add, I'm a little disappointed we won't have guided missile manufacturing, given that seems to be a booming business these days.
We gave that up, right? At least the propellant for it. We lost that. Any other questions from council? Ready for a motion? The motion will be to accept the recommendation from Planning Commission to approve the text ordinance. Is that correct, Patrick?
Yeah.
Is that more than
Ordinance number
Yeah, we go.
2673.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, 26, yeah, 2673.
Motion to approve ordinance 2674.
373.
So, yeah, not bad.
I'm going to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2673 as noted in the agenda and attached as item 4B.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second with the correct ordinance number. Any further discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Item C, consider ordinance 2674 approving text amendment to rezoning regulations for tree plantings in rural street sections.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. So, DeSoto's an interesting community because we have a large component of large lot subdivisions on the east side and then sort of more normal, I guess, subdivisions through the central area of the city. And when you try to shoehorn some of the standards that we have and apply them to the large lots, they don't always work so well. And we had a developer come by and they've actually got their preliminary plat and final plat approved. But one of the things that they requested, which the Planning Commission felt was a reasonable request, was to allow for, instead of street tree plantings, which we have 40 feet on center in subdivisions, to allow them to mass them in areas and make it a little bit more rural instead of, I guess the word came up was like, so they wouldn't look like lollipops just planted every 40 feet in this very rural area, even though once again, it is within city limits. The lots in the Cedar Valley Estate subdivision are from 2 to 4.5 acres. And those homes will be set back quite a ways. And developers felt that was just something that they would like to request, is that the trees, instead of being, like I said, once like soldiers marching up and down the street, they would be able to mass them and make it a little bit more of a rural type setting. So that was the request. And we was once again through the process, went to Planning Commission. And actually, it's where the nexus kind of started, was at the Planning Commission discussion for the preliminary plat. And the thing that we put in there is that they're not getting out of planting the same amount of trees. They still have to plant a tree or the number that we'll require is every 40 feet, but they can group them instead of just.
So that rigid linear pattern, they can create clusters of.
Right, that's
plantings.
correct, Mayor.
Questions?
And it's only for a rural street section. And then the only places you would see that would be on the east side of town, where we still have some very large pieces of property that could be developed into large lot subdivision developments.
So the effect of this would be to take the same number of trees and collect them all in one small area, leaving large open areas with no trees? Or-
Well, I guess, they'll still have to submit a planting plan for staff to approve. They weren't thinking about just creating like a forest area, but instead of having, every 40 feet, they could have, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a grouping, and then move those around the subdivision. So it wasn't so, like I said, like Mayor said, linear.
Rigid
its
and
approach.
linear that.
So the trees, this doesn't affect the trees within the subdivision, just along the frontage road?
Yes, this is just street tree plantings, essentially. Now, the neighbor, the residents, they can plant trees wherever they
Sure.
want, so that doesn't affect what they would do.
Sure.
Well, Brad, wasn't part of the big concern that if you held to that 40 feet, you'd be putting trees right in the middle of the driveways? Like, because the way the driveways
Well,
are
and
laid out.
that was part of it. That came up at Planning Commission when we did that last meeting, where we did that alternative landscape plan there. And that gets more back to where you have smaller lots and where the driveways are. That can be a problem as well. But in this case, they could comply with this and adjust their driveways, et cetera. But the request was to allow them to group the trees in a manner that was more, I guess, pastoral in its effect.
I mean, not a landscape architect and have not lived, but I think on a large stretch, I think it makes sense rather than seeing this whole long string of trees. If it does kind of, if it could get a little bit more of a natural effect and, creates a little bit of grouping or breaking up a visual interest, I guess.
And you said they submit a planting plan?
Yeah, they'll submit a landscape plan for us to review as part of their public improvement package.
Do they have an internal street they're going to build with this? I guess it would apply to anyone that would, and these street trees would apply to both an exterior or arterial street that they would front along with interior subdivision, local access street, right?
That's correct.
So if this is allowed, then is there a possibility you could end up with stretches where you just see fences and no trees and then a clump of trees? And I'm trying to visualize this, and it seems like you could end up with a stretch where you just see people's backyards and their wooden fences or whatever along the street. Is that something that's?
Well, yeah, it's potentially right. If you look at Arcadian Estates, when you drive down, now Waverly is not what I would call a rural street section, but all the backside of that, those homes, we don't have those requirements. There isn't anything back there. This subdivision, the way it lays out, the Cedar Creek wraps around it. So anything behind the houses has the creek itself and a very strong thicket of trees. So this just applies to the front.
And this only applies to that subdivision, not to the?
Well, it would be for anybody who requests a rural street section. Now, this is the first one that's come through since I've been in DeSoto. So there's some potential it could happen again in other places, but it would be all in the areas that used to be the JAA farms. They're selling off large tracts of property. And we have no intentions of bringing sewer or anything like that out. So they're all going to be a minimum of 1 acre and probably larger. And that as that area develops, and it'll be in this large lot subdivision manner.
There's limited space where they can plant, right? It's got to be in between the street and the right-of-way line. It's got to avoid any water line, a utility corridor or whatever. So,
Yeah, in this instance, it'll just be water line and electrical.
I mean, their massing can't be too severe because there's just not a lot of space that would allow them to create a big bundle, I wouldn't think, but.
I think my concern more is that we don't want to end up with, streets like we have in our neighboring cities, Latho and exit places like that, where you have stretches without trees on them because they're all massed in one area. I'd like to see us maintain the current feel of the city. And I feel like based on what answers we've received and what it says in here, that might not happen. We might get away from that feel if we approve this change to the zoning.
I might add that, I see it as they are trying to still provide that natural look, where the natural look isn't tree, 40 feet tree, 40 feet tree, where the natural look is more, a couple here, and then the residents will probably plant a lot of trees as well. So that's kind of how I was looking at that.
And I'd also mention when we talk about a rural street section, it's not curb and gutter, it's ditch section. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for varying those trees. And once again, as part of their public improvement plan, staff has the ability to look at what they're submitting as far as the landscaping and say, no, you can't just plant, 100 trees right here. And
You don't want 300 feet without a whole stretch of trees, right? I mean, that's what I'm getting from Zach, is that like some concern about limiting the maximum spacing between plantings or something.
I think that
Trying
would,
for a natural look.
right.
Yeah, something to give them that, but to give some assurance that we'll have some idea of what that spacing what that grouping spacing might end up being, so. If it- Like 120 feet or something, like if say you're grouping three together, then 3 times 40, 120 feet, right? So yeah, we wouldn't expect any gap between clumps of more than 120 feet, something like that. Is that what you're thinking, Zach?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I just don't see that
Protection and.
protection in there.
Yeah.
So your options on, you could send this back to the planning commission, or you could make the change right now. If you specified exactly the change you want to make, or obviously you can just vote to override.
I mean, if we could just say provided that, or get, something that said, provided that no spacing would exceed 120 feet or something along those lines.
I don't know about the exact number, but I like that. If we can make that change to there.
Something 100, I don't know what the right number is.
I'm not an architect at all, especially not a landscape architect. So.
But I get where you're coming from.
So I think at the end in the box, the red text, if you just
Added
after
that.
however total trees required will equal the street length divided by 40, and no no space without trees will exceed 120 feet.
I'm okay with that. 120 feet seems pretty reasonable. That's not all that far. I think 300 feet might be a little far. That's a football field, so.
I guess I was just trying to think, the lot width a minimum lot width for that RO district is, I think, 100 feet, and then, but most of them are going to be wider than that. So I guess I do get your point also. We don't want to have anybody that has no trees on their lot.
Yeah.
Right. I like the lot.
To that lot width maximum then, yeah.
Mhm.
So it would, Brandon, I don't know if you can
Yeah, hold on.
take this.
Go ahead.
So the phrasing would be however total trees required will equal the street length divided by 40, and no expanse, EXPANSE, without trees shall exceed 100 feet. Is that?
I think 100 feet would be a little better.
Okay.
I like it. Somebody's going to have to tell me what to read though, because that's a lot of.
Just stick that on the end of the red.
Just stick that on the end of the red there.
I don't have any more discussion or questions.
Okay. Any other thoughts, discussion? Okay.
You just approve the ordinance with the
Follow
change.
Change or whatever.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2674 with the change to S1 local collector corridor under description of right-of-way buffer types and options to state or to amend to the end of that sentence in other, and no expanse without trees shall exceed 100 feet.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Brandon, are you?
I got it. And I'll double check with Patrick just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure I got it.
Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
motion carries.
Mayor,
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Mayor Walker, excuse me on that one. Yeah.
and sorry, I didn't call out that 2673, the mayor should have voted.
I got a yes on 2673 and a yes on
I got that one
26.
too. So worried about Victoria, and it's not saying Victoria. I forgot about that.
Okay.
Motion carries.
All right. Item D, consider ordinance 2675 approving text amendment to zoning regulations for size of accessory structure.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Once again, this is a text amendments directed primarily at large lots on the east side of town. We've had these types of things come up with playground equipment and pool houses, all sorts of things, because it's a different situation when you're trying to do some of these changes for accessory buildings and more traditional subdivision versus some of the large lot areas. And so what we went before the planning commission and talked about this, we've had several residents who have tracts of property that have 5 acres or more than 5 acres, and a few that have more than 10 acres. And they felt that it was fairly restrictive on the size of their ability to use all that property for an accessory building or whatever. They have a lot of property that they could do, and because they have large tracts, there's a lot of space between potential neighbor. So we talked to the planning commission about it and came up with a standard. And also, I just wanted to point out, I did look at Lenexus, Olathe's, and Gardner's ordinances, and they were no help. They just were completely different. So this is something that's a pure DeSoto decision without really any input that seemed to make any sense or a better idea from any of our neighboring communities. But we've had this standard maximum cumulative accessory structure size in our ordinance for quite some time. And one thing that I did add, because it helps me when I look at it, that the 900 max, the 1200 max, that's the max square footage under that category. But the areas that we're talking about really making the change is in the 5 to 10 and the 10 plus category. So we held consistently with the reduction of the square footage for a certain size over. And that worked out pretty well, because the people that I've talked to at 5, 10 acres, the 4,700 square feet would work for them. But the ones that we really kind of struggled a little bit with the planning commission was, what's the max size if you've got 15 or 20 acres, or so it didn't seem like that this sort of staggered where you have a max 3,200 square feet plus a certain amount of square foot. And we do that because if you've got 7 acres, you start at 3,200 square feet, and then you get an additional square footage per acre. So we kind of calculate that. But once you go to infinity, so to speak, where's it end? So basically, after discussing with the planning commission, holding a public hearing, came up with anybody that wants to exceed 4,700 square feet, which is the maximum you would have at 10 acres, you'd have to come back for a site plan approval. So you can, as long as it fits within their property. So that gives planning commission the ability to look at making sure somebody's not putting up something that's going to just be overbearing and intrude on their neighbor's property, but also gives them a lot of flexibility to have a fairly large structure if they chose to do that. I don't see that the people I've talked to are wanting to do anything crazy massive, but once again, we do have some people, the property that's being developed in some private lots that, they've got 100 acres, and they could have a small horse facility out there. And the way our ordinance is written, we'd say, I'm sorry, you can't do it, even though it might be out of sight, out of mind. Nobody would see it. You've overdone it. We want to scale it back. And those things that we have in our site plan approval, our architectural features must match the conditions of the existing house. We do have some items for landscaping. And then it also gets into potentially some safety issues as far as doors and exits and windows and all those types of things. So I think there's some things that are in there that'll kind of force people to don't overdo it. because then you open yourself up to a lot more scrutiny by city staff and the planning commission. So that really was where we ended up, was the 4,700 square feet. It was the maximum size where you didn't have to do the site plan, but once you jump to that level, then you need to have some more input from not just city staff, but planning commission as well.
Okay. Questions from council?
I like this one as it's written.
Okay. I think we're ready for a motion then, if we're in agreement with it.
I move we accept ordinance 2675 approving text amendment to zoning regulation for size of accessory buildings.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2675. Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
Bradley,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Mayor Walker,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Item E, consider ordinance 2676, repealing prior actions and terminating the Countryside Farms Benefit District.
Yes, council, you'll recall a few months ago, you were approached. Dave Anderson represents the developer on this project, and they were going to use a benefit district to construct interior streets to the development. After that was all approved, we were told, Dave indicated that they no longer wanted that benefit district because, with a benefit district, there are assessments on the property. And I think it had something to do with their UMB, their lender wanted to do the loan on the roads too. So in any event, they requested that we unravel the benefit district. So that's the action before you. They will need to pay, any fees that our bond counsel incurs in the work done on it. So staff recommends passage of ordinance 2676.
You answered my question. That was my concern. Can it get covered for any fees we might have incurred so far? Questions from council? Motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2676, terminating the Countryside Farms Road Benefit District.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, item F. Consider agreement with Prime Time Construction for the 2025 CDBG project along Lexington Avenue.
All right, thank you, Mayor. As you know, every year, well, actually this year we skipped in 2026, but we submit for a community development block grant. And this year, we're in 2025, we were awarded $182,633 for this project. And the project was to connect 95th Street to Commerce Drive along Lexington, because right now that sidewalk it just stops right, probably about 30, 40 feet short of 95th Street. And so then people that do walk down Lexington, and it does happen occasionally, you'll see them meandering. That's something that I've noticed, for several years prior to even the upgrade of Lexington Avenue, that people would walk along the edge of the road. So we submitted on that to connect 95th to Commerce Drive. One thing you'll notice also, I think we got some fairly competitive bids. We got 13. I was pretty surprised that we got so much interest. And Primetime Construction had the low bid of $181,000, $68 even. So you think, well, great, the whole project's paid for by the grant, except of course what you can see on the screen is the areas in the blue are part of the floodway. And Joe and I had a lengthy talk with our friends at the county and then also with FEMA I think it was FEMA that said you can't use federal funds in a floodway. So,
Well, there's only about 50 feet of it that's in the floodway.
well, yeah, you're right, but we had to break that out in the bid set. And of course, that's a fairly expensive area because there's some drainage inlets.
Yeah.
That's where the
Yeah.
crossing of 95th Street is. And so we had to break out that separate piece. And so the portion that would be DeSoto shares, $57,051. So Brandon had mentioned that, Councilmember Bradley, you're concerned about why are we building this project? Because we have had indications from KDOT that they're going to replace the entrances or the off ramps on K-10 highway. So my understanding is we haven't got a firm commitment from them. It could be 5 years, 10 years from now. And felt like, if we turn this grant down, the money goes away. We don't get to say, well, let's reallocate it somewhere else. So it's just gone. So we felt like it was a pretty good opportunity. Let's just go ahead and move forward with the project. I think the other thing also, when Brandon and I talked about this earlier, is even if that interchange gets built, in 5 years, there'll be portions of this sidewalk that'll remain. It's really just the areas under the bridge that'll be mostly deterred or taken out. So, and KDOT will replace them. So I really do think it's a good project to move forward with. It could, once again, it could be 10 years or even longer before they choose, or KDOT comes up with the funds to redo that interchange.
And it sets it up for, making sure that pedestrian accommodations are built into their plan when they do redo those ramps, that it'll be accounted for. And I've used that route a lot. And actually, I was riding the multi-use trail along the new stretch, and then you get to the end and it's kind of a pain to, you have to get off. And some guy yelled at me because I was in the road then trying to get off the trail and get in a bike lane, but never mind that. So I think it's just continuity. Plus, it's for a long time, Clearview has been, essentially cut off by a safe walking path, and this is another connection to that community.
So I would add that my concern was with the interchange, but without knowing a timeline, that's a little assuages some of my concerns. However, I just want to add that I received some comment from one of our citizens that noted they would like to use that and that the sidewalk ends. So, yeah, that's a good point. But I do have a question on it. So, Brandon, would you mind going back to the
map?
map?
Sorry, I was trying to catch up with the agenda.
Oh, no. So obviously we can't build past into the blue in the floodplain. So the project will stop there.
Well, we can build it. We just don't get reimbursed for it. So we'll have to build
Right.
that on our.
That's what I was asking. So as part of this project, it would be a separate project to finish that part in the blue. Is
I
that
think it's all one
correct?
contract.
Yeah, it's all one contract, but when we spoke with the county
So that,
staff, the only eligible portion is,
Yeah.
and the way it was bid, and I could get you.
no, I was just gonna say, but like roughly that 57,000 DeSoto share covers that portion or part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that covers our share that's in the blue on the map. And then after that, it's,
Well,
More than 50 feet, I was exaggerating.
No, I get it. But I understand. I was just making sure that this would cover the entirety of the sidewalk to connect to the new.
yes, yeah, we're going to connect all the way. It will be a contiguous connection point from 95th all the way to Commerce Drive.
And Brad, are you going to bring back the contract for separate action?
Yeah, I've gone through and Patrick's reviewed the contract. We've sent it to Primetime Construction for their review. So there'll be another approval by council to allow the mayor to sign the contract, and then we can issue a notice to proceed.
Any other questions?
Can anybody recall any time that we've had additional water in this area?
It overtopped, there's box culverts underneath the road right there, and it overtops with some frequency. I mean, it's within the last 5 years, it's come over probably at least once I can remember, maybe twice. Do you remember, Joe?
Yeah, it's flooded 95th Street in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know that we've gotten over Lexington.
So 90, back in 93, if you were here in 93, it definitely was over it then. And
My concern would be, so if we go ahead and do this and we have the sidewalk through that area a little bit, the water comes up and it brings soot and mud and
Yeah.
whatever else with it, who's responsible for cleaning that up?
that'd be just like the road.
Yeah, just,
Yeah,
We would take care of that.
right.
Now, it's not that you can't build it. Lots of trails are in the floodplain. Just with this federal funding,
They won't.
their guidelines are, you can't do it.
understood.
Yeah, and you can see, we've actually replaced that culvert underneath the railroad bridge 4 or 5 years ago.
COVID.
But it was still undersized.
Yeah.
So it does top that area occasionally, but prior to that, it probably would.
Well, yeah, so the culvert underneath the railroad trestle, 2021, that pipe collapsed, and it's a 10-foot diameter corrugated pipe, and it was completely blocked. And so in almost any rain then would overtop 95th Street there for a while. So we replaced that collapsed section. And so now it's just the big rains that overtop 95th Street. It's not sized to convey, a 100-year storm or anything of that return interval. I'm excited to see the connection, the link, close. I'm looking forward to the project being completed myself. Any other questions from council? All right. So what do we need tonight? Just
I guess you could approve the dollar amount.
we can accept the bid, but we won't have the contract. Right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. So I guess there was a recommended. So the motion would be to accept the bid from Primetime Construction with a 10% contingency. So.
A motion that we accept the bid from Primetime Construction and award the project to Primetime Construction to complete the Lexington Avenue sidewalk project with 10% contingency of $18,107, an amount not to exceed a total of $199,175.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. Item G, receive presentation and update from the Johnson County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is just our quarterly update from the Johnson County Sheriff's Office on law enforcement activities throughout the community. So Dan, as usual, is giving the presentation. And I'll turn
Good
it over to
evening.
him.
Good evening, Council.
Welcome
Captain Dan Dirks, Sheriff's Office, here to review the fourth quarter 2025 report with you and answer any questions you might have or anything else regarding law enforcement services here in DeSoto.
Okay.
One thing we did based upon your request from the last time I was here is I provided some definitions describing the types of offenses that we categorize and also the types of activity that we perform. So that would help you understand a little better.
I might be okay.
And yes, I can read.
Okay. Making sure the screen was working behind me.
It's getting harder and harder now. Going from there, you'll see dispatch calls increased in the fourth quarter of 2025 from 754 to 787 compared to the same period in 2024. Our self-initiated non-traffic, which are those calls that we develop ourselves that are not traffic related, actually decreased from 1,555 to 1,161. Self-initiated traffic decreased from 1,574 to 1,448. And traffic accidents did increase from 6 to 7 for the same time period from the year before. And one thing we have done just about a year ago is we moved from our traditional ticketing system, the paper, system to the e-ticketing system, and we established that baseline in the third quarter of last year. So with the third quarter of this year, we'll be able to start providing that data to you to see the year-to-year comparison. And these are the categories of offenses, Group A and B, the most common ones that we encounter here within the city limits, just to give you a side-by-side comparison there. If you have any questions about those, I can try to answer them for you.
Nothing, I mean, just normal variations in the nature of the calls, I'm guessing here, right? We're not.
Correct, Mr. Mayor. And for example, taking the very first one, assault, you see a rise from 1 to 5. That could be as simple as there were more parties involved in that individual incident that we encountered. It's nothing noteworthy to us. I mean, it is a rise, but it's nothing to indicate that there's a problem or anything like that.
Thank
You will see there is a drop in some categories and a rise in others. One thing I was surprised by was the drugs and narcotics cases had actually dropped quite a bit, but I would consider that our enforcement activity. So initially, especially with the laws that were approved on the Missouri side, we started to see a lot of traffic at first. And I think people are starting to get the message that just because you can in Missouri doesn't mean you can here in Kansas.
Thank you.
This here, I apologize, I should have identified this better, but this is just a comparison of the accidents from 2024 to 2025 in the location, so you could kind of get an idea of where things are taking place. Again, this is a quarter-to-quarter comparison, but if you'd like, I can provide you an annual comparison at the next meeting.
Okay.
And this here is just representation of the total number of calls for the DeSoto area. You'll see 754 dispatch calls, which resulted in the self-initiated non-traffic of 1,555 and the self-initiated traffic of 1,574 stops for that period. And that was 2024. And then this map just shows you from that first screen the comparison to 2025.
Calls seem to bump up on Thursdays or when, I don't know what.
I'm sure our crime analyst could probably answer that. I don't know what's so special about Thursdays.
First and third?
Maybe, I don't know.
And this here is just, if you weren't aware and I didn't explain last time, we started using what's called the Power BI management system for our data. It's a very advanced system that we're using, and our new crime analyst is very well versed in it. So it's provided us a much better snapshot of the types of offenses and be able to do those side-by-side comparisons. The great thing about this system is I can pretty much manipulate the data to see anything you wish to see, whether by month, by year, or by particular offenses. So if there's anything in particular that you're interested in, we can get that information for you. And again, that was just a 2024 compared to 2025. And this just represents that first slide that showed you the 2024 and 2025 Group A and Group B offenses side by side. This is just kind of a pie chart depiction for you. And this is what we call our heat map. So the previous one looked like the dots were each individual event that had taken place. This kind of gives you, as I said, a heat map, kind of where those events are taking place. And you see most of the activity there does take place among the center of town there and up along Lexington there, up to 103rd. And of course, we conduct a lot of traffic along Lexington, along Kill Creek, and of course along K10 there. Again, another heat map comparison there. And this is just a visual depiction of the accidents that took place in 2024. You can kind of, that one slide reference that. This will actually show you where they took place.
Gotcha.
And this is for 2025, where they've taken place for that quarter. So this is a representation of our traffic stops and the citations that have been issued. You'll see here towards the top left, an actual listing of the number of citations written within DeSoto city limits, and the remainder of what we refer to as our 1 district, which is actually very little outside the city of DeSoto. And I think that that's the same thing we had up, I think,
Yeah,
on the
just
first
the
slide.
key takeaways, you got it at the end, but.
Any specific questions I can answer in regards to the fourth quarter?
Questions? Council? Observation?
It would be interesting to see traffic violations Monday through Friday after 3 and the age range of.
I'm going to bet that our analyst can probably do that. She's pretty amazing with the system and has been able to get a lot more information than we have in the past. So I can find that out most certainly.
I was just more curious. Of course, I had a kid in high school. Be just interested to see if it hopefully doesn't increase during that time. But then again, I think they probably get stopped if they're heading east by engineered air employees.
Well, I know we have our district cars specifically assigned to DeSoto. We also have the SROs that get out about the time school lets out and everything else. Then, of course, we have supervisors driving around and everything. So we do have a fairly heavy presence right around time school lets out.
This is great. I like it.
Yeah. Something I was curious about, do you get many calls from Clearview City? And
This
you
is
guys-
this
you
is anecdotal. Given my time when I was a deputy working it, I feel we get fewer calls now than we did, say, 10, even 20 years ago when I started working around this area. I'd have to check the data to confirm that, but
I was just curious.
that's just a
yeah.
feel.
And so you guys don't patrol Clearview?
Oh, we do.
You do
Yes.
patrol those streets?
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
Yeah.
I noticed we had or did have the speed advisory trailer, I guess, for lack of a better word, along Penner. Were we getting some complaints along there?
We were, in my communication with Mike and Brandon, they identified that, some citizens were concerned. So we immediately got our speed trailers, as we call them, out there. Some areas are more difficult than others to position those. Like previously, we had some complaints just coming over Wyandotte Bridge there.
Yeah.
But there wasn't really a good place to place those. But Penner was fairly
Right.
easy to do so.
It
So-
worked on me today.
Will you give a report? Do you get a breakdown of that
Data from that.
activity from that?
I do not have the answer for that. And to explain that, so currently, I'm the commander of the patrol division, which is the district cars, the general cars assigned to the area. My counterpart, Captain Josh Tice, he's assigned to community policing, which is the SROs, the district cars contracted to DeSoto. They would have that information if it's available. I can reach out to them and find out. But a change that is going to take place here, I believe at the end of this month or early next month, my counterpart is being promoted and they are merging community policing and patrol back together again.
Okay.
So they will be under my purview once again, and it will be data that I'll have
I'm
access
just
to.
curious if that is a data collection unit as well, that if it tracks speeds and times and could give us some sort of profile of, what that
And just listen,
compliance with the speed limit is.
right. And just listening to them talk about the trailers, I believe that is possible,
Okay.
but I'll confirm that.
Thank you.
One other thing, Brandon and I were talking, obviously in December, the last month of the quarter, we obviously had an event at Panasonic. There's not much I can speak to yet because the investigation is actually still ongoing with the officer involved team. We have not received that report back, but I've been told that's due to several members of that investigative team have been sick, have been away and things like that, which has caused that delay. I can answer some very general questions, but it would be nothing more than what you might have received from the media due to the investigation that was ongoing. But once that is released to us, then I might be able to answer more in-depth questions you might have.
I don't have anything specific to that.
Do you do any shifting due to weather conditions?
Such as
As
snow
patrolling
and,
this area, say if severity of weather
do you shift some people from where they're not to this area for possible problems?
We do, and when was it back in December or January, that last big snow we had? What we'll do is we'll take the other divisions within the sheriff's office, such as the civil division, the warrants division, and those, and we'll actually bring them in to work a patrol function and put them in areas such as DeSoto or on the interstates or on K10, for example, just to have that added presence. Because ultimately, I think the last time, we actually had many fewer incidents than we thought. We only had a couple of accidents with the last big snowfall, but a lot of slide-offs, for example, where people just lost control. We won't have those people out there because obviously with the low temperatures and things like that, we don't want people sitting out there. So to answer your question, sir, yes.
Anyone else?
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item H is discuss city council vacancy. I'm just gonna, I thought maybe I might have somebody to bring forward. I'm not there yet. So just an update. I'm still working on it. I've talked to 4 folks so far. I've got 2 more interviews I'm trying to get scheduled. I haven't been able to get them yet, but I'll keep working on it. And anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Mayor, could I just, and I can't remember if, I know I have a memo that I've distributed on prior occasions, but just so everybody knows, and it is kind of a funny story. Several years ago, there was a city, smaller city in Kansas, where the mayor kept appointing the city attorney, and the council kept voting him down. This went on for almost a year, where he would, next meeting, mayor would bring the appointment, be voted down, same thing over and over and over again. So the legislature passed a law that if the mayor makes an appointment and you as the council don't want to approve that appointment, you actually have to pass a resolution declaring that the mayor's selected person is unqualified for the position. And that is true of any appointed position. So just wanted to let you know that if there's an occasion that you want to vote down a selection that the mayor has, we'll have to pass a resolution where you're indicating in resolution form that the person up for appointment is unqualified for the position. So just thought I'd share that.
Thank you. But that's all I have on that right now. I don't have anybody ready to ask for an appointment of yet. So still working on it. We do not have an executive session, so we will move on to advisory reports. And Patrick, you're up.
For me.
All right. Brad, anything from the planner?
No, Mayor, I think you're plenty for me tonight, so.
Okay. Yeah, we have. Joe.
Nothing tonight.
All right. Brandon.
You have 2 quick things.
All right.
The first one is you are going to see through our communications in the next few days the community survey for the community center / recreation center master plan. This community survey that's going out. It's going to be public. We're going to send it out through all our social media channels and our utility billing. So we're asking the community basically what kind of amenities would they like to see in the future community center / recreation center. And so you'll see that in the next couple of days. And then the other thing, you in the pay ordinance, you approved the last payment for the Riverfest monument sign. If you haven't had a chance, go down there and take a peek at the sign. It's lit. It finally got finished. It's really pretty. So I'd recommend you swing by if you have 5 extra minutes on your way home today. But with that, that's all I got.
Reminder about the.
Oh, yes, and the chamber dinner is tomorrow. Thank you, Mayor. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Question.
Yep.
On this survey, are they going to have to give their email address to get it to sign through?
No, it'll be completely anonymous.
Okay.
And so you won't be able to take it multiple times because it'll be tied to your IP address, but you don't have to submit your information.
Oh, okay, so some people were concerned about that, and they asked me about that, so.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Yeah, no, it's open to anyone. So we know that we will have people that live outside the city of DeSoto that will be participating in the community center, and so we open it out to the public. So that's
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Council comments. Danny, anything for the group tonight?
Nothing, Mayor, thank you.
Rhonda?
I would like to thank everyone who went to our first town hall. Actually, that was probably something you were going to say, second. I might have stole your thunder, so I apologize. I thought it went really well. I thought we had great attendance, and yeah, it went over really well. The only thing I was going to ask on that one is following up with the gentleman with the Merck home. I don't know if.
I have not had it. I was going to sit down with Mike today and
Okay.
he was called.
That makes sense.
Not able to
Yeah.
be here, so
That makes
I didn't
sense.
get a follow-up. I did want to compare notes with you guys to make sure that I had captured everything. And so I look for an email from me
Okay.
about my action items, I guess, from the.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Meeting.
So, thanks.
So I also wanted to thank the folks that came out. We had 15 attendees. 14 of them were residents, and one was a visitor from Roland Park, I think.
I think that's right.
Interestingly, he did have some interesting comments as well. We had some questions from citizens about zoning, developer paid community benefits, trails and sidewalks. Somebody asked if we would make a requirement for reflective clothing at night when people are out. I don't know how that would work, but unless they requested it. Someone suggested we put a large clock at the pool. I don't think that's going to break the bank. It's something we can probably manage. Someone asked about a state enhanced star bond for Western Johnson County. I couldn't find anything on it, but maybe somebody else knows something. And then, as Ron alluded to, someone asked about some, I guess he said there's some whining noise at Mert north of 87th, only in the afternoon, about 4 o'clock, that lasts for 4 to 5 hours. I have tried investigating it once. I will try again. I'm not sure what that is.
Okay.
But I also wanted to say, I think for our very first one, 15 people was pretty good to come out. Hopefully we get some more residents next time. And I think, as you noted at the event, Mayor, maybe a different, the location was pretty echoey down there. It's a little,
Acoustics were not good.
not
Different
good.
setup, maybe.
Yeah, something, maybe even use the new,
Maybe we'll
larger,
get
we'll see.
right.
The only comment that I had, and I was thinking about it, I was trying to find the exact information, but I'm a little late in it, with the sheriff's department. Captain, I don't want to make come back here, just something that I'm thinking about here is if, especially given that we have a new crime analyst there that seems to be pretty savvy, if we can look at an actual workload-based model for determining allocation of staff and if we're at the right levels, whether that's minimum manning level, soft or hard minimums, and if we're at the right, if we need more staff, for the right staff, et cetera. If we could use some sort of a performance-based approach or something like that. Just a question, nothing that's like vital, but something I was thinking about because I have had several of our citizens ask me, should we get our own police department? Do we need our own police department? I don't know, but we can find out. I know a guy. So that's really all I had. And thank you to the citizens who came out. Hopefully we'll see more of you there at the end.
All right. Thank you. Joe?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
I had 3 things on my list. So one of them was the town hall. Thanks to the folks that attended. Thank you, Rhonda and Zach, for helping to get that started. Looking forward to the next one. And I see that continuing to evolve into something that's productive for the community. I'd like to thank our state DOT workers for their work to clean up the K-10 right away. I know that had turned I don't know how it got that way, but it turned into a pretty messy stretch of road, and they've been working pretty hard over the last week or so to pick up a lot of that litter, and I think they were actually still out there today, so I appreciate those efforts and look forward to that carrying on. And then the last item I have is our meeting on the 19th. I know you're planning to be gone for spring break. Is there any chance that we could get a 10-minute window if there was like a pay ordinance or something we had to pass that we could phone you in for, if you would, or a day before, I don't, so a time. It doesn't even necessarily have to be at 7 o'clock if there's a better time. I'm just thinking that we may need to do some level of business on the 19th, but we will not be at a quorum, so without you here. Think about that.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure I can make something work.
all right.
Patrick, I have a question for you. So is the quorum based on the number of seats or on the number of people? Because right now we have an empty seat, but it's not filled. So would the quorum count that, or would it count the actual number of people?
Just with the vacancy, it's the number of people. So that's why we have we still need four people to do business, regardless of the vacancy.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah. And I was just gonna ask on the public input set, are we as part of the notice where they're held?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have it if you want to look at it, Patrick.
Okay.
Typed it up.
No, it's fine, because we can just do a motion if it's at a public meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought those were the things I had. So we'll work out a time. We'll have some sort of an abbreviated meeting on the 19th that if we can gather here, and we'll try and connect with you for 5 minutes, and then.
I'm sure we'll have a pay ordinance or something.
Right. That's all I was worried about, was just kind of that normal business stuff, not to run through any kind of agenda items, but I think we can probably get by without that, but yeah. And maybe we can get by without the other as well. And if we can, we can just have fun, but. I just want to put that in your ear. All right. That's all I've got. We have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, we're adjourned.
All right.
Yes.
No, I don't want.
No, I should say here.
Okay. It's a good idea though, right? Yeah. You never know. Let me get all this off. See ya. Thanks for coming, Dan.